The cost of subversion is apparently 1/3 of a pound of flesh, as the company Basecamp has gotten rid of fully 1/3 of its employees over an internal spat over a new rule where the company says that it will not take any obvious clear political stance in the current day, and it will also ban all discussions of political matters on its internal platforms. This is rather interesting. You may also note that I'm saying gotten rid of, whereas this article starts with 1/3 of Basecamp employees have reportedly quit following new policy on speech. I do love how the good old-fashioned SJWs are suddenly, oh, you're hurting our free speech. Hold on there 1 second. Let me just prepare a response here, okay? Fuck off, communist. There you go. That's all you need to say. Or if you want to be fancy about it, shut up, socialist. There you go. A slightly more articulate response. Because these people do not care about free speech, except when it hampers their ability to curtail other people's free speech. And here's the thing too. Within a week, Basecamp's loathed no politics at work rule has escalated to a mass exodus. Immediately, the tone of the article is set. This is a horrible, evil policy that has seen people flee the company en masse, whereas the reality is that around 1/3 of the company's employees accepted buyouts following a contentious all-hands meeting. In other words, the company invited everyone to have a discussion, and then at the end of that discussion, they looked over at 1/3 of their employees and went, just leave. We will pay you to just leave. Go away, you divisive little shits. Go! Shoo! And they accepted that. That's the way I view it. If a company is willing to offer you a buyout to leave, that means that the company is willing to give you money to not work for them. And entirely the right decision as well. So, before we move into that part of it, because this slots rather neatly into my currently ongoing little theme of gatekeeping, doesn't it? The policy: no more societal and political discussions on our company Basecamp account. So you don't get to discuss this internally within the company. And why is that? Is it because the founder was like, alright, you know what? We're a corporation, we are a soulless corporation, we are a company. Our only moral responsibility is to earn money and to pay our employees. That's it. That is all. Of course, within the commonly agreed upon rules of the nation within you operate, of course. No, it's simply because today's society, today's social and political waters are especially soppy. God damn it. Sensitivities are at 11, and every discussion remotely related to politics, advocacy, or society at large quickly spins away from the pleasant. Basically, the CEO has realized that, you say anything these days, it'll be wrong. And we're not even talking about things like saying things that specifically would piss off the far left or the far right. We're saying taking any position will get you pushback. Even if you adopt the most woke position possible, there will still be people who simply say, not good enough, bigot. Because that's where we are right now. We have created a societal system where there is basically power in being contrarian and calling everything bigoted, racist, etc. That's where we are now. Though, I generally do believe that examples like this, and more examples of gatekeeping being used effectively within franchises, indicates that we are actually over the hump. It might not seem like it because we've still got a solid 5 or 6 years till we return to a state of relative normalcy, but I do believe we are actually heading in the right direction for once, which is quite nice. The move depressingly aligned with similar internal policy at companies like Google and Amazon, who've also lost all semblance of moral superiority. The latest speech by now President Biden really exemplifies a lot of this kind of mindset. The people are us. We, the government, are the people, as he put it. Now, if he had said, the people are the government, then sure, yeah, the people are the government. But no, he specifically said, the government are the people. The institution, the power structure, is the moral and the ethical entity that is able to lecture to the rest, because it is placed above them. It's the same kind of idea here, where we see this idea of moral superiority in companies. Like, companies are not moral entities or ethical entities beyond earning money for their shareholders. Like, that's not what I would consider an overly moral position, beyond the fact that, earning money is good, so long as you do it within the framework, again, determined by society at large. But this is a constant thing on the SJW side, looking up this, these companies need to be moral. They reject their own individuality and they place it on collectivist ideas like this. The problem is that these companies aren't, again, moral entities. Google and Amazon haven't banned internal politics because they don't have an overt political position. Google and Amazon has demonstrated again and again that they do. It's because, where is it here? But banning speech as odious call for employees at Basecamp to unionize. Amazon doesn't want unions. Google doesn't want unions. And they've done everything in their power to quash them, including Amazon famously banning mail by vote. Or voting by mail, excuse me. I could go deeper into that particular subject on recent events as well, but YouTube is still a little bit touchy on that subject, so I shall refrain. I'm sure you know what I'm referring to. They don't want unions. And the thing too is, unions are no longer created for workers' rights, because most of these are already enshrined within the laws of our nations. You aren't allowed to simply make them work endlessly. You aren't allowed to pay them nothing or charge them to work there, often a common practice in certain diabolical workplaces. And depending upon the nations, there are more or less protections. In Norway, for example, you probably have a bit too many protections, which makes it actually kind of difficult to even run a company here, because you're paying, of course, the usual taxes on anything you and everything you earn, and on top of that, you're also paying a bunch of tariffs and special fees, depending upon the people you employ and how many. In fact, we have a special tax which literally taxes you, punishes you directly for providing a workplace for someone. You have to pay a tax for the privilege of employing someone. Now, if that isn't a backwards-ass notion, I don't bloody know. And it's also, of course, the moral part of it. Now, let me also give you the example here. So, what is the big problem? What's the huge issue? Like, why do they need to unionize Basecamp? Why do they need to create an entity within the company to deal with this apparently huge problem? This issue that saw a third of the workers get told to shove their fat, overweight hipster asses out the door. It was a joke. The effort led to call for a company to address an 11-year-old inside joke. Literally, over a decade-old joke is the problem like this. Allow me to remind you as well here, sensitivities are at 11. This is the statement from the CEO. Where's the lie? Is this not exactly accurate? Has he not hammered the nail on the head here? Is this not exact? Sensitivities are at 11. 11-year-old joke. And what's the joke? I mean, with racist overtones. God, it must have been horrible, right? For an 11-year-old joke to still be around? It must have been just like pictures of black people, and they were playing games of like pin the donkey on him, like ha ha ha, racist, ha ha ha. It must have been the worst thing imaginable. They were probably wearing blackface whilst doing it, and the darts were looking like little throwing spears and stuff. Oh god, and probably they were burning crosses as well. Except, of course, the joke was that the customer service representatives compiled a running list of customer names they found funny. That's oh, I'm not done. This stopped being funny from one point of view. I imagine it got a lot more funny, honestly, when the list started including names that were apparently funny because they sounded non-European American. Oh God, are you telling me that a name, a word, basically a series of words that sound ridiculous was found ridiculous by people because in their area it was ridiculous? I mean, to put it like this, a typical European name would sound ridiculous to an Indian because it is not a normal name in their naming convention. This is not racist. Hell, this is cultural, if anything. And this was the dreadful joke that split the company. This is beyond offense archaeology. This is offense necromancy. I mean, this joke had probably been dead for 9 or 10 years, and yet some person within the company was just digging through like, God, I must find something, some sliver of reason to unionize and call the CEO a racist. Well, he found it, and they got bought out in response. Well, at least they got a little bit of money out of it, didn't they? Again, though, this is the price of subversion. The company didn't gatekeep to begin with. They didn't start screening their employees. Like, right, so, do you believe that you should abolish the police force? If the answer is yes, well, that's a strong application. Now go away, because he's probably a crazy person. Or something simple like that. But now the company is gatekeeping. You wanna unionize the company I made? You want to drag your politics into this company who has no business dealing with it right now in a period of absolute ridiculous sensitivity? No. I'd rather pay you to not work for me than accept that. Again, gatekeeping. It is the one and the only proper solution to crazy people. Till next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope to see you all again soon. Have a good day.